I want to talk a little bit about time management on the SAT reading section. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I think that if you struggle anywhere with time management, I think it's very likely to be on the SAT reading, just because that section, has long texts with long questions, and especially if you're not naturally a very fast reader, that'll kind of be problematic. So there's two things I want to say about managing your time on the SAT reading. The first thing is that I know it sounds obvious, and I know it sounds well duh, but seriously, when you're reading the text, make a conscious effort to read faster. Don't read it as if you're, just chilling in your room reading some book for leisure, because it isn't like that. When you sit down, try to maybe even to not get involved too much in the text, like don't get too interested in it. You're sitting down, you just read every line, obviously, and make a active effort to go just chew through each sentence faster. Of course, don't do that at the expense of understanding your accuracy, because if you realize that you're just like moving your eyes back and forth, not gathering information, that's obviously not useful either. So don't do that. But just remind yourself that, okay, I need to be reading this a little bit faster than I would if I was just doing it for enjoyment. And personally, I kind of struggle with this sometimes there are some passages that are maybe even like science related that are like, oh, like this is actually an interesting topic. Like you can't get caught up in that. Just read the text. Don't engage too much with it. So there's that. And the second point that I want to mention is I think you actually might have a question about this. Is what's the best way? Do you read the passage first, then the question first, then passage? Like how do you organize that? If you already have a strategy that works for you, then by all means do that. I'm just going to explain in case you maybe have a question about it or don't feel comfortable or feel confused. I'm just going to explain what I usually do. So many of the questions on the SAT reading don't actually require you to have the entire text read. Many will be finding a synonym of a word, or just describing the tone of a paragraph or how the paragraph's tone shifts and stuff. And yes, it's useful to have context for that, but you don't really need to read the entire passage. So what I usually like to do is just go by whatever the question is asking of me. So I'll open the document. I read the title, just to again get a quick introduction into what I'm about to read. I'll take maybe 10 or 15 seconds to just quickly skim the passage. Just literally just reading topic sentences, picking up on a few key words to understand, okay, like here we're talking about this character, here we're talking about this topic, just to get an idea of where things are in the passage. Once I do that, I go straight to the questions. Often the first question is, what is the main idea of the text, or what is the main purpose of a passage? And for those, you got to read in a little bit deeper. But I would generally not recommend reading the entire passage in detail and then going to the questions, because what I notice that almost always happens is even if you can read the entire passage in detail the first time, when you read the questions, you're still going to have to keep going back. So it's as if you're not going to memorize it after you read it once. There's not really any point of doing a very detailed read right off the bat. So I would say skim it, go straight to the questions, and then if the question requires you to read it a little bit more in depth, then go for it. But other than that, if it just goes, what does this word most nearly mean in this sentence? Well, read that sentence one line before or one line after to get context, and then you already know your answer. You don't have to read the entire thing. I hope that helps I hope that answers any questions you might have about time management on this section. And as you go through the practice tests and as I give you a few maybe examples, try to use these, and you'll notice that it will generally, unless you already have a strategy that works for you specifically, it'll generally help you get through the passages a little bit more easily and with a little bit less time pressure.